All right. You want to jump into it or?
Yeah, let's get it.
Let's get it. DeRico, you ready, bro?
Good.
Okay, man. Got the background and everything. Okay. All right. What's going on, champions? Welcome to another episode of the Perspektiv podcast. I am Kwame Ose.
My name is Dylan Elias.
And I'm Izzy Castillo.
And this is season 2, episode 3, of where we tune the heart of mentorship. Let's go. What's going on, Dylan? What we got going on today, man?
Yo, I'll tell you what was going on. I got a new puppy. DeRico, you wait. This is about me right now, right? We got a new puppy, okay? I ran her all morning because I was like, yo, got to get the energy out so she like sleeps through this whole podcast. I don't want barking, whatever.
Welcome to my life.
yeah, you guys probably know. This is my first one though, so I didn't. Anyways, I was up at 6 a.m. I was running this dog around, like just burning myself out. I finally get her to sleep. She knocks out like an hour to the minute. I was just about to hit the Zoom thing. She stands up. She's like, arr, arr. Oh, come on, man.
So, but yo, I don't hear a dog. So, like, what did you do?
Yeah, we don't talk about that on the podcast. No, I got a good neighbor, so she came over and helped me out with it. But this is like a full-time job. I mean, I know people talk about it, but it's different. I think you've all had puppies, right? Like you guys.
Yeah. I had a puppy before.
Yeah, I had to call my mom yesterday and like just be like, yo, I love you. Like, shout out to the single moms. Like,
it's parenting, man. They say it's harder than parenting. Like, if you can handle a dog,
I would not say that to my mom.
You're good to go. That's what they say. It's good preparation for having kids. So I don't know if that's what you're doing, but
yo, you just made 1,000 women very angry right now, bro.
Hashtag the beginnings.
Yeah.
We're gonna catch a lot of flack for that one.
What's the breed again?
She's a half pit bull, half Resma. We don't know the dad.
Half everything.
Yeah.
Diversity, man. Diversity.
Facts.
Yeah, she might make an appearance. You never know. Yo,
I'm actually looking forward to seeing her. You know, I'm a dog guy. I'm tired of seeing all these cats. Sorry to all the cat people, but
I'm with it.
Yeah, we'll be more willing for that guest appearance of the dog today versus the
cat. Nobody likes my cat. My cat's always pop in to say hi on the podcast, and no one likes it. But a cute little puppy. No. We'll see if she comes through.
No screen time for the feline, bro.
Ooh, that's bars.
Bars.
All right. So speaking of, we do have a very special guest in the house today. Someone who, I guess this is my guest. Although you guys both kind of know him. We grew up together, and it's been amazing to watch the journey of this individual, like kind of step by step. You know what I mean? Like, again, this is the great part of social media. But I mean, I pulled up a little bio here, so I'm gonna shoot through it real quick. But there's things on here, bro, I didn't even know about you.
I'm just laughing before you even do that because like growing up with you was hilarious. We'll probably get to some of that, but like it's hilarious.
Oh no, I hope we don't. Yeah.
Okay, please elaborate.
We'll probably have some good stories. I got. Okay, I'll give one funny story that I remember. This was like in grade 8, I think, and we're down at Justin's when he had the basketball net outside of his in the parking lot. And I was just chilling on the side. I forget what I was doing, but no one was really playing. Everyone was just taking shots, and the ball like rolled over to my feet. I picked it up. I must have been like,
this sounds like a classic like basketball movie beginnings, like when you became best friends with each other.
I was no, DeRico had no respect for me on the court at this point.
Bro, you were washed.
So I picked up this ball and I was way beyond the 3-point line. I hit, you turned around, you were like, yo, when did you learn how to ball like that? I didn't say nothing. I turned around, I didn't take a shot the rest of the summer. I did not pick up the basketball again. I was like, yo, DeRico thinks I'm nice. I'm gonna leave it at that. Oh man.
Yo, remember when I stole $2 from your house?
That's actually a crazy story too. That was when Mr. Muir let us go home, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, so we had a grade 7 teacher. We convinced him that we had this shark documentary at my house, like this National Geographic tape. We are like, no, sir, it's so educational. Like, we'll go get it for you, like whatever. He's like, oh, okay. I live like what, like 20, 25 minutes away from the school. We're in grade 7. He lets us just cut in the middle of class, walk to my house to get this like tape. Yo, we chilled there. We made food. We came back like hour and a half later, 2 hours later. Man didn't say that. Yo, he was wild though.
Hey, before you continue, to all our young viewers, I know usually we say take notes, but do not take notes of that, please. We don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
We don't want to get in trouble. All right, let's get to this. Can you introduce DeRico?
Yeah. I'm trying. Okay. You're the director of the Opportunity and Belonging NSCAD.
NSCAD.
That's easier to say. Oh, NSCAD, yeah. I never seen it written before. You got over 15 years of experience working with at-risk youth, which I did know. You're a founding member of 3 non-for-profit organizations in Halifax. That's crazy. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk about all of those. You have an undergraduate degree in child and youth study and your MED in counseling. Oh, that was through Acadia. I did not know that either. You have your Canadian Counselling Certification through the Canadian Counselling and Psychotherapy Association of Canada. And I was just like clicking on your awards and accomplishments too, bro. And this list is like big. Nova Scotia Human Rights Commissioner Dr. Burley Rocky Jones Human Rights Award, Master of Education in Counseling, Irving and Ruth Pink Award for the Youth Development and Social Justice, Queen's Diamond Jubilee Century Service Award, Sheila and Stephanie Alt Memorial Award. You got a lot going on this. And I will say, like, just kind of the reason I wanted to have you on was twofold. One, because I've been watching like your journey, which is super cool. But two, I got to see it with my own eyes more recently, like this year. And there was 2 instances about a year ago, actually almost a year ago. I had my brother ended up taking his own life, and this was a hard like couple months for me. And I think when you experience something like that in your life, there's a lot of people who want to reach out and, you know, give wishes and just hope you're doing okay, which you appreciate, but everyone kind of understands that there's nothing you can really say. There's nothing you can really say that helps. It's just, you know, it's just what it is, and you have to go through that process yourself, and time heals. And you called me, and what you said to me actually did help. And that was the first time that it really hit me, like, oh, okay, there's a bit of a process to this. Like, you know, I've through work, I've dealt with a lot of grief and loss, like with the kids. And what you ended up saying to me that day was, you told me that the relationship was not lost, but that I would have to find a different relationship. And that stuck with me, like even till now, which I'm still, you know, figuring out. But that was something that hit me, like, oh shoot, that's true. Like, and I still get to talk to Jared, and I still have to get to have those conversations. But like you said, it's not something that I lost, it was changed. And to frame it like that helped me kind of get through that. The second thing you said to me was about scheduling grieving time. And I think this is not even necessarily just with death, but whenever you're dealing with a hard period in your life, when you push it aside and try to make it positive, try to make it happy, it's always kind of like aggravating you. It's always kind of at you. So if you know that there's a time coming where you can just put on your sad music, write whatever, get in your feels, like if you have that time for release, like it just made everything so much smoother for me to get through my day-to-day activities. And those 2 things you said to me, like, again, there was a lot of people who reached out, and I really appreciated that, but that was something like that I could use going forward. And the second thing was my young buck Aiden. He was doing up logos, and you were like, okay, I need a logo, let me hit him up. So we did a little Zoom call with Aiden, and he's a nervous kid, and you instantly made him feel confident. you instantly made them feel at ease. And I got to sit there and witness that process. And again, we see a lot on Instagram, we hear about all these awards and, you know, school and whatever, but when you get to witness that like firsthand, I think that's what people really look for, and that's what people really want. So those two things this past year, I was like, yo, DeRico's got the juice, and that's what this podcast is about. It's about trying to not only inspire us through your journey, but like, yo, like how do you do this kind of thing? And anyway, so I'm super excited to have you here again. Even that you're repping Halifax is awesome. Welcome to the podcast, bro. I guess I'll start off with the first question. I just want to know, like, I don't know if everyone's kind of experiencing that, but I think we're all in a similar point in our life where, you know, we've been doing something so long, and at the beginning it's a grind, and you're trying to like figure out, and you're trying to do it, and you know, you're kind of working your way up, and then you kind of get to a point where it's like you're sitting here and you're like, oh shoot, like, you know, I've actually done a lot. Like, this is pretty dope. Do you get to have those moments? Like, do you get to, like, a lot of the people we grew up with, I will just say, like, I'm not surprised to see you where you're at. Like, and I think you know that too. Like, you always knew you were different. Like, when we sat down in Boston Pizza and we were talking about, oh, where's he? Like, oh, crackhead. Like, oh, he's in jail. Like, but I'm not surprised that you are like where you at. Like, there's never a doubt in my mind. I don't think there's ever doubt on yours. So do you get to like sit back and like enjoy this right now?
I mean, first thing I want to say, I appreciate the introduction, and you know, it's warming to hear, like, because I just don't know what some people will stick with, and in terms of what I said, so I really appreciate that, and being a good friend of mine, like, it's heartwarming, honestly, to know that it was helpful for you during that time, and so, I mean, I don't, and purposely, because it's not about like accolades and like recognition. Like, that stuff is cool, and like I take it as a, you know, if I get recognized for something, well, then that means that all of the things that I'm talking about, the things that I'm caring about, and the communities and people I'm trying to kind of lift up as well, like, they get recognized, because I then get some spotlight, and I get the spotlight and highlight some of the things and the issues that I'm caring about, and like, I'm constantly hungry. And, you know, I feel like how I grew up and where I grew up, like, I was just living in survival mode, trying to just, like, I'm grinding. And so, you know, like, if I take a second and like stop and think about and just stop, like, I'm never going to lose that hunger to keep going. And like, it's just, for me, it's like, it's not about me. And so, like, I look back and I'm like, man, like, it's been a journey, but not to kind of like kick my feet up and be like, yeah, you know, I kind of made it.
Yeah, I love that, bro. I love that. You know, the recognition you get puts a spotlight on them. That's big. That's big right there. I love that. I want to take it back to like your foundation, like a young DeRico back in the day. And the reason why I want to take it back there is because then I think of myself growing up. I grew up in Toronto, right? And for the longest while, like up until maybe grade 11 or 12, I had no idea that there were Black people in the Maritimes, specifically Nova Scotia. I'm going to focus on Nova Scotia. I had no idea. The reason why is because, like, first of all, in the curriculum, like, I never heard anything about, you know, the Africville or the Maroons or Viola Desmond. Like, I didn't know anything like that. So I feel like had I known those stories, I would have associated Nova Scotia with, you know, having Black people. And then in grade 11 or 12, there's this guy who's from Halifax, either Halifax or North Preston, I don't remember. But his name is, we used to call him D-Block. His name was DeRico Symonds. He came to transferred to our school for basketball, because our school was really big on basketball, and a lot of people would come there just try to get opportunities to play down south. And he was the first Black person that I ever met from out there. And he told us, yo, there's a lot of Black people out there. But that was like the awakening moment. Like, what? There's Black people out there? So I asked this question to kind of get some more insight on how it was like for you growing up, you know. For us, like I said, I never heard of these things in the curriculum. Was there representation in the curriculum in Nova Scotia? If so, how did that make you feel? If not, how did that make you feel? And what would you want implemented in the curriculum?
Yeah. So first thing is like, it's often said that like there are Black people in other parts of Canada because of Nova Scotia. When Black loyalists and Jamaican Maroons came here in the thousands, they started to disperse in other parts of Canada. And so, and North Preston is the largest Indigenous Black community in Canada, with the largest concentration of Black people anywhere else. And so, man, like in terms of representation in the curriculum, like just like no, there wasn't. And like, you know, the first time that I realized that I was Black was in elementary, and I think it was like grade 3. And I say that because I obviously like I know that my skin color is Black. I know that my skin color is different from other folks, but I didn't really think about it until the teacher like used to get us to like read a certain amount of pages, and like as a class we would read the whole book, but they passed it to me to read the part where it had the N word in the book. And so when I read that, and like people started looking at me strange and like started laughing, I just like I didn't understand. And so then I started like asking questions and like figuring things out. And so like that was the moment where I realized like my skin color being different actually means something here. And so then that sort of set me on like a learning journey. And you know, I never had a Black teacher my entire schooling experience. The first time I had a Black teacher was in university, and they were like a part-time instructor, like coming in to teach the course. So I never had one Black teacher the entire time. And even through courses like African Canadian studies, it was a white teacher. And so there was no representation. And the first time there was actually a Black staff, Dylan, you probably remember Vince Jones at St. Agnes. And then and then in high school, my guidance counselor was Black, and my guidance counselor was actually the reason I went to university. I said, "Yo, like sign me up to university. He paid for my fee. If you don't sign me up, I'm not going." And so, representation and sort of like the consciousness around diversity and skin color, you know, came to be extremely important because as a kid, we're sort of unconscious of these things that are happening around us, and we're carefree. But then once you start to become sort of a conscious Black person or a racialized person, I started to kind of live in constant like confusion, anger, upset, frustration, because I know what's going on around me. And so representation in the education system is extremely important, because some young people spend more time there than they actually do at home, especially if you're going to like an after school program right after class. So representation is important. But like, you know, to rhyme off a couple of things that I would say need fixing, of course, one would be representation, but the curriculum. The Black history that I learned was Black people started at slavery and we ended at Martin Luther King and the Emancipation Proclamation. There was some Rosa Parks and Malcolm X in the middle there, but that was it. And, you know, it took me searching and to know that Black people came from kings and queens and dynasties and intelligence and inventors.
Preach, say that again, brother. Let's say that again, man.
Black people came from kings and queens and dynasties, and that wasn't taught to me in the school system. We were always taught that Black people were in an inferior position, and so the curriculum needs a complete overhaul. We need more staff representation, so the people that are coming into the schools, community people that from the outside coming into the schools. But you know, and then at the board level, you know, that's another conversation. The folks who are sort of pulling the strings and making things go. But the one thing, if I could change right now, would be the curriculum to reflect accurate history and to reflect the accurate representation of Black people.
Definitely, I'm with you. I feel like it definitely, to me, the place to start is the positions of leadership, because that's where not all the decisions are made. You know, with regards to staffing, with regards to the curriculum, we need to get more diversity in those rooms. But I'm with you, man.
Thanks for sharing that, DeRico. It actually brought me back to the first teacher I had, Miss Crawford, who was the first Black teacher I had. And she taught an English class, and it was a writing class which was one of the most powerful classes I've taken, because that's where I also learned that you can be a voice in the world. And she was just so like straight up, like she wanted you to get down to like, what was the life experience you had and how did you grow from that? And she was the only Black teacher actually in the high school, not to think about it, in Vaughan. So from that experience, I just remember her like always speaking on situations that she's faced and how did she overcome those situations. And one thing that I saw on your page and really impacted me was watching your lead with love and that message, because with a lot of things you speak of and do and put out there, you still have that feeling of love that it's rooted from what you're doing. So I wanted to ask you the question of like, how has leading life with love impacted you and the world around you? And why is that message important?
Yeah, really good question. First thing I want to do is just shout out Tyler Symonds and Verena, because they had the original conversation where the lead with love came from, and then I sort of joined into the group of three for that. So giving homage to those folks who sort of started that conversation. And Dylan's known me for a while, so like I haven't always, like I had to grow into sort of and develop into the person that I am now. And so learning to kind of look at things with an empathetic lens, learning to literally kind of start the conversation from a place of love. Like I can get my point across professionally, I can get my point across still critically, but it can come from a loving place. And so I think that it's important, if we want to actually move things, shift paradigm, shift culture, and get to where we all want to get to in society, a positive place. We can't always come from a place of attacking people. We can't always come from a place of negativity, because at the end of the day, there's context to everything, and there's context to every situation. And so before I say anything, I calculate almost everything that could happen before I actually post anything, whether that's negative or positive. And that's because I want the message to be received, knowing that it's a critical message, but it's also coming from the heart in a place of love. And so leading with love is like thinking about what you're going to say, what you're going to do, who you're going to be before you do it, so that you can make the most positive impact possible. That's what it means to me, because with all of the stuff going on, all of the stuff going on, especially right now and in the past couple of years in terms of police brutality, racism, discrimination, we can even go back to the Me Too movement. Like people should be mad. People could be mad. People are justifiably could be extremely upset. But like it's I look at it this way: is do you want to be right or do you want to win? And I'm into win. And so I could be screaming from the top of my lungs of all of the things that are happening, and I'm probably right. But how are we going to win this game? It has to be led with love. Has to be. That resonates with the most amount of people.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and it mentioned a line about it was Miss Harris. So rather than fighting against something, it was fighting for something, and that was one of a shift that she had moving forward, because fighting against something feels very defeating, and there's no like you can't really see the light at the end of the tunnel. But fighting for something is so rooted in your own heart and your passions and things that you want change in the world. And that's kind of like what I got when I first met you in Halifax. Dylan introduced me to you, and I remember sitting at that restaurant. You were just speaking so much of like the changes you wanted to see in your community and like what that looked like. And I was already sold to move there to like work in that kind of like field and have that, like your passion really was felt. And seeing you more in like political roles that I also listened to another podcast of yours that you were speaking on, like that was the movement you wanted to head towards, and seeing you in this role now and being in this space and being able to be heard by people and be seen. But I really appreciate your impact that you're having out there. And I see the people beside you too, leading the way through love. So I really want to, thanks for answering that question.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I just want to say one thing is that like, like I look at it like it has to be like each of our individual, like I take it as my responsibility, because like people legitimately died for me to be here. And it's like, you can look at it a couple different ways, but like it's a legitimate miracle that like I'm a Black man here, knowing like what my lineage is. And I figured out on my mom's side, I'm 8th generation African Nova Scotian, dating back like a long time. And so like it's like it's not a mistake, but it's almost a miracle that I'm here. And so how could I take all of the losses and pain that my ancestors have went through, and even my immediate family, to make sure I have what I have? Like how could I not take it as my responsibility to try to lift as many people up as I can?
Well, you're doing it. You're doing
I'm trying. Thank you.
DeRico, so I just want to stick on the lead with love theme for a quick second. I was peeping your Instagram, and I came across that too. And shout out to Tyler too. That's my guy. We went to university together. He's doing big things, so shout out to him. But with regards to that series, your Lead with Love series, is there, like, when you think about it, or you think about that phrase, is there one, like, somebody who comes to mind when you think of that, or is there a particular story that you heard filming that just resonates with you? Like every time you think about it, it's like, wow. Like, if so, can you share with us?
Yeah. So, one of the stories that we did, it's on my page, with Elder Lorraine Whitman. She's an Indigenous elder. And there's a lot like that. That conversation was like an hour and a half. And, we have it distilled to like 5 minutes or so. And it was one of the most moving and most beautiful conversations that I've had, because the things that, Elder Lorraine had shared were so traumatic and like so horrific. And then for her to be sitting here telling us, she was talking about like putting her energy into the positive stuff, because she said, I could be sitting here pointing my finger at people, but why would I do that? Because that's not going to get anything done. She was talking about, losing her sister. She was talking about stuff happening inside of her house, and going outside to sleep under a tree. And the tree was like her protector, and the animals were her protector. Like it was a beautiful, powerful, and amazing story. And now I'm sort of thinking out loud, like I want to see if we can kind of release the whole thing, because it was amazing. And like, to me, hearing that story, with all of the things that I that I know, plus more that I don't, that Indigenous communities and Indigenous people have gone through and are going through, she could be extremely mad. She could be extremely negative. But she to me is kind of the epitome of leading with love, because she's continued to uphold her community. She's continued to mentor, and she's continued to give back, despite what's continuing to happen to Indigenous communities, and despite the things that she has gone through as a child. So Elder Lorraine Whitman, for sure, is what comes to mind right away.
I'm liking this leading with love thing. Like you kind of mentioned before, like, from who you were growing up to the DeRico now, there's a lot of evolution, there's a lot of growth, and naturally that happens over time. But and we get it, it all makes sense. Like the lessons that are here, like they're obvious to someone who's in like a stable place and who's like been able to go through that journey. But was there like a one moment that you remember, or something that where it clicked, to kind of flip all this, like, not hatred, but like inner angst, and turn it into like something positive? Or was that just part of your natural progression with, because I guess for me, like, I noticed it while working through the kids, that I just naturally had to become a lot more compassionate if I wanted to pull that out of them. And I wasn't necessarily like an angry person, but that was definitely like something that drove me way more into a life of positivity. What was, yeah, take me through like how you became into, you know, who's standing before us today?
I don't think anyone's ever actually asked me that question before, so I'm sitting here thinking. I'm pretty so
We're going off
you
the
know.
script, buddy.
So you know a lot of folks that I grew up with, and so um, there were moments where people I know went to jail, people I know were shot, like and so I felt like I always had to have like this like chip on my shoulder to like, because I felt like I just always had to like I was surviving. And so, like in my house, this is gonna be a long story to lead up to answering your question. And so like in my house, um, we were poor, but I didn't know it until I left the house. Because like my mom did what she had to do to make sure that we had what we needed. And so, I was sort of walking through life like angry, because I just didn't really fully understand why I didn't have and why other people did, or why I was hungry and why these people weren't, or why they had a car and we didn't. And so I always felt like I had to have this chip on my shoulder. And growing up in the pubs was like a little bit rough at times. And so like I just felt like I was angry, and I had to like be sort of in survival and like protection mode. And so like that was sort of like who I was from like elementary. I don't want to say define myself all that way, but like from elementary to high school. And then, you know, how I got to university, I mentioned my guidance counselor. And so when I was in university, I saw a completely different world, like a completely different environment, because like there were like, there were instances where like I was coming from a legitimate, like a domestic dispute, like at my house, to the basketball game, just completely unfocused. But I was literally coming from one world to another world, and trying to play both sides of the fence and trying to balance the two. And so I got to a point in university where I sort of was just like sitting there, and I'm like, I kind of have to like commit. Like I have to commit. I have to decide, because I that first semester, and I also was very standoffish in university. I actually didn't speak to anybody like the first year. I made the basketball team and everything. I only talked to the Black people. I never spoke to anybody else, like not a one word.
What school did you go to?
Mount St. Vincent University. And so like I was just like finding myself to be like angry all the time, like upset, like fighting, and because I was still like stuck in this like trying to survive and like protect myself and not letting anybody into my bubble. And so I had to learn to become vulnerable, and I had to learn to actually express some of these things to some people. And so in university, I would say probably my second year, my first semester, around Christmas time, I got a letter home because my GPA was like 1.6, and like they're about to kick me out. And so it was at that point where, my my mom would always say like, boy, you owe me at least grade 12. And after that, like, you have to make decision. You make a decision if you want to go to university, but you owe me high school. And so
I should just add in, that's very telling to what you were going through at that time, because you always got like, you were always very smart. Well, to me, but like your grades were always like really good. You were a high achiever in class.
Well, I give that, I appreciate that. I give that to my mom. And so the point where like I kind of flipped things was like going into my second year. My first year, I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't really speak to no one on the basketball team. I would actually, and I didn't know too many people, and I didn't really want to get to know people just because of the mindset I was in. And I remember, like, it sounds kind of sad, but like I would sit outside of classes because like I didn't speak to nobody and I didn't know anybody. So I would literally pretend I was texting people just to like not feel stupid. And so because I was too scared to be vulnerable, and too scared to like let people kind of into the life that like I was living outside of university. So I put on when I came to school. And so in my second year, like I got really close with athletic director, June Lubson, amazing person. I actually started talking to my coaches. And I made some friends on the team. And so I began to like open myself up and accept that like there are people that want to help me, and there's another world here. And I can do this. And so around my second year, I started to kind of like meet people, but it was really about becoming vulnerable. Like I was too scared to do that because I was just like closed in, locked up, and felt like I had to live in like this protection type of mode, like, and not let people into my bubble just because of like my upbringing. That's a good question, man. I never actually thought about that, but yeah, like that's that's what happened. Second year for sure.
I want to ask a question that I'm really interested in because it stood out a lot in your Instagram page.
You're
How do you
smiling. You're
I know,
smiling.
because
so
it was
good.
it's a good thing because these are kind of my favorite kind of questions of knowing a lot more. So like so how do you keep your vision alive every day?
You
Because
saw
that
it at the
really,
top of the page.
yeah,
Right?
I saw it, and yesterday I was journaling out in the sun, and I took a picture because my sunglasses were there, and I was like, I was listening to a song called Visions, and then I went on your page. I was doing some like homework there, and then it popped up again. So I thought it was a sign of like the word vision. And vision is like perspective, where you can have a lot of different lens on different things. So like how do you keep your vision alive every day? I know that you've talked about the things you're doing and like where you came from and where you are today, but I'm sure there's times where it can be trying.
For sure. So like I I don't want to say tunnel vision because I'm aware of what's happening on around me, but like I'm so focused on the change that I want to make, and so focused on the way that I want to impact the world. Like I'm not even just saying it just for Halifax, is that like the rest is just noise to me. And so, like I say that like the music in my head has to be louder than what's going on around me. And so, like you think about, you put your headphones in and you're at the gym, you're working out, you can't hear nothing. You can't hear anything, and you're just doing your thing. And so that music inside of my head, knowing what I want to do and focusing on that, I don't hear the outside noise. Like I don't hear the negative trolling comments. I don't hear any of the other foolishness. And it's really about like it's an everyday thing. It's not easy to stay and remain positive in a world where there's so much darkness going on. But like every day, when I wake up, like when I'm in the shower, like I put on like motivational speeches and I just listen to them while I'm showering, while I'm getting ready, because to set the tone for the day. And like I'll do every now and then like meditation, like stuff to just like keep my head grounded. But I have to keep the volume up on the music in my head so that the rest of the noise is not distracting me. Because I think it was Nipsey Hussle that like the highest thing that you can do is to inspire. And that's just what I want to continue to do, because I don't know who, but I know that young people pay attention. It may not always be to me, but they pay attention to people. And so, I have to continue to keep my vision alive, because if mine dies, that might dim someone else's light. So my light and, our lights on here are lighting up all kinds of other lights that we don't even know about. Mm-hmm. And so knowing that, keeps my vision going, because my vision staying lit is going to keep some other young people alive. Even we could even say that.
Yeah, alive. There, you never know who you're impacting.
Exactly.
You never know who you're impacting, and if you're shining bright, you're being a representation, and you're leading with love, those things really shine bright and impact other people around you.
Well, like if somebody told you, like if somebody was like, Izzy, like you have to keep this candle lit. You have to keep this candle lit for the month, no matter the wind that's coming in, no matter the weather, and they give it to you with a lighter. If you let this candle die, someone's gonna die. Mm-hmm. You are gonna guard that candle with your light. And so like we all have a light, and like I said, like how dare I like let that light be dim, given what my mom has went through, my ancestors went through, and now being in a position where people are paying attention. I don't know who, but I have to keep that candle lit because it's helping people that I don't even know who it's reaching.
Yeah, you definitely understand that, like, what you're doing is beyond you, and that's huge. That's huge right there. That's how it says a lot about the type of person you are. And you kind of dove into my next question a little bit with regards to you pretty much told us kind of what your why is, but I want to go a little bit deeper. Like you said, you're so focused on the change that you want to make. What is the change you want to make?
I think it's, or no, not I think, I know it's not a difference because that's too passive. I want to shift. I want to shift. I want to shift thinking. I want to shift lives, and I want to shift. I want to change the world. Whether I get there or not, that's the goal. And so, there's a quote that's like, shoot for the stars, or shoot for the
moon.
Shoot for the moon. If you miss, grab a star. And so, my why is based in, if I can be an inspiration for somebody else to change their life and then inspire people and then inspire people and inspire people, there's a chain reaction. And like in this podcast, you have no idea who's listening, but you have no idea what they're going to take from it and then go inspire other people. And so, having some lived experience, going through a couple of things, and then being able to kind of climb through that mountain. Another favorite quote of mine is, the tallest mountains have the best views. And so, folks have been hiking before, rock climbing, like, when you get to that top and you're looking off, it's like, damn, this was a tough climb, but this is a good view. And so my why is rooted in knowing who I am, knowing my ancestry, knowing what people have went through, but knowing that, I believe like words are physical. When I put it out there and I say I'm going to change the world's going to move out of the way. If I say that I want to be the prime minister, well, the world's going to move out of the way. And so, like the cliche, of course, is the richest place in the world is the graveyard. And that's because there's all these ideas and thoughts and things that people have never got to physically put out there. And so, I don't ask for permission. I'm just doing it. I'm doing it. And I want to continue to kind of hold that why in my pocket and keep going because I desperately want to do good. And whenever my time expires, I want it to be a better place because I was here. And so, I may not have put it in the exact words that I want, but there's a desperation of wanting to change the world, like a desperation. And, I know that many people have heard like the saying, like Eric Thomas is as bad as you want to breathe. And so like, there's when your back's against the wall, there's a desperation to thrive and survive. And so, imagine taking that same backs against the wall mentality, but wanting to do positive things, wanting to make positive change. When your back's against the wall in a basketball game or a football game, adrenaline is hype, and you're ready to make that big play. And so harnessing that energy and continuously going with that is a lot of the why. I know it was somewhat of a ramble, but there's a desperation. There's a desperation of wanting to do good.
I know, I totally get it, man. And I definitely commend you, bro, because what you're doing is big. So I just ask that you continue to aspire to inspire. And I know that the universe will conspire to bring you closer to where you want to go. And I could tell basically already by your story. So just keep it up, brother. Keep it up.
Appreciate that. That was bars too, by the
way. We should be making a song by the end of this podcast.
Hey, speaking of bars, DeRico, I know you do a little bit of writing. I'm just wondering, you got something for us today or what?
I mean, I got two in the clip here. So I mean, I have one like I've never actually read publicly, and so I'm gonna read it, but like I also talk about like just like the sort of creative process with it is that like I don't just write just to sort of like write, like it has to be like there's something happening, or like I'm holding on to something or something on my mind, and then like it's therapeutic to just get it out on paper or like type it out in my phone. But like I've never even named this one, but like you'll get it. You'll get it as soon as I as soon as I start reading it. The very roads you walk in your city have been built by Black people. Yet it's Black people that lead and march these streets asking white people, can we be equal? The very stoplight you stop at with your vehicle were invented, by Black people. But we are stopped at the same lights by police asking to be equal. The lawnmower you take pride in to mow your lawn every morning was invented by Black people, but we mourn on the lawn still at the loss of our people. The mop, the mailbox, the x-ray, the elevator, ice cream, all Black inventions. Still in the history books, no credit and no mention. And let me tell you how I define my Black. Brilliant, beautiful, bright, brave, best, bold, Black. Love, light, life, legendary, loyal, luxurious, Black. Adaptable, ambitious, all that, awesome, Black. Cool, calm, collective, capable, caring, Black. Kind, keen, knowledgeable, king, kingdoms, Black. You lied in the history books, killed our people, raped our women and children, denied us employment, gentrified our neighborhoods, systemically oppressed us, told our women they're not beautiful. 400 years of free labor, no pavement, paved pavements, and still we make our way in. Kings, queens, riches, royalty. Don't ever let them tell you you're ordinary.
What?
Let's go. Yo, I felt that, man. I felt that.
Yo,
I got one
goosebumps
more.
coming through?
Bruh.
Yeesh.
Bruh.
I got one more. This one's a true story. This happened when I was working in a particular community in Halifax. It was during a youth program. And yeah, like when this happened, I just sat with me and I'm like, man, I have to write about it. So I'll never reveal the community, the young person's name.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is called Black Boy. What's up? As I give props to the young Black boy sweating and out of breath. The sun was out, it was like 23 degrees and he had on jeans and a black hoodie. So logically to me, he would be sweating beads. I knew this young Black boy and his mannerisms. He was always fresh to death, cool, calm, and collect. So when he failed to share a laugh and ask, yo, Rico, what's up with the Toronto Raps? Or can I get some help with math? I proceeded to ask, as if I were the dad I knew sadly that this young Black boy never had. What's going on? He looked at me stone-faced, eyes glazed, and told me the story of how 2 bullets just grazed him and his friends. And he continued to stare, looking at me, waiting for my response to be shocked and amazed. My mind races through the time spaces and my eyes stick to him. As I go over my mind primary to grade 12 education curriculum, we're told to sit down, do your work, and just stay on task. And at this moment, I realize there's nothing that I learned from a book or a class that can provide me with a logical reason to tell him after he's just been shot at, please don't shoot back. And so I say I'll do what I can to help and be strong and things will be okay. And I wonder if he heard the uncertainty in my voice. What I wanted to say was, be smart and be careful. This life you live as a young Black boy is a handful, and don't wear a black hoodie or reach for your phone, and keep your pants pulled up and maybe you'll be left alone, and always say yes, officer, and do what they ask, because one slight hand movement could be your first or your last. Bang.
Sad, but true.
Very.
Sad, but true. Bro, please make something with these two and share it so we can share it, please.
Yeah, I got to now.
We need this, man.
Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it brings us to the end here that we don't want to end, because maybe it's just the beginning.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing those pieces, because I know for me, I like to write, and sometimes it's hard for me to share those words, but I appreciate when people do, because it impacts. And that's what we're talking about, shining bright and showing your light there. How do you, we asked a lot of the guests this question, and I'm going to change the last word because you gave me some new perspective just now with the word difference. And that's in the word of the question we usually ask. So I actually going to switch it up, guys, because I feel like difference is a little bit not direct.
Yo, do your thing.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you know or feel that you're making a change?
I'd say that you don't always know that you're making a change, but you continue knowing that some point you may see the fruits of the labor. And so, you know, I say that the sort of greatest measurement of a leader is someone who can inspire other leaders to create other leaders. And so if the highest act is to inspire, you don't always know if you're inspiring, but you continue to go. And so I don't always know if I'm making change, but I always know I'm going to continue what I'm doing. And so I would say I don't always know because it's just like I don't ever want to relate it to me because it's not about me. It's about other people, communities, and the change. And so, you know, like hearing Dylan at the beginning of this saying some of the stuff that I've mentioned is still stuck with him, that's an indicator. That's how I would know. So I don't always know. And sometimes it comes 360. Sometimes it doesn't. But, you know, the goal is to put out as much positive energy and as much positive thought as you can. And if it makes it back to you, then you know. But you put it out there and hope that people grab onto it and hope that they inspire other people that inspire other people.
Love it. Cultivate love.
That's it.
That's what's up. And one thing that people don't realize, in my opinion, is that like so based on everything you just told me, I could tell your focus is service to others, not service to self. And people don't realize that when you have the mentality of service to others, you are actually serving yourself in the same moment because we're all connected. And when people realize that, the world would be a better place. So appreciate you, DeRico. Appreciate all the gems you gave us. Appreciate all the insight you gave us, and looking forward to those videos that you're gonna make soon so we can share. And to all our viewers out there, if you enjoyed what you heard today, if you found some value, if you learned something new, if you got enlightened, if you got goosebumps by DeRico, please like, subscribe, share, and comment on our podcast. YouTube or Spotify or iTunes, whatever new platform. On that note, Dylan, hit them with the outro, bro.
All right, yo, DeRico, appreciate you being here, man. That was beauty. Great ending, and thanks y'all for tuning in. Remember, that's just our perspective on mentoring. And what else do I say? Yo, it's been like 2 weeks since we took a break.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the outro.
All right, yours or something, or
it's not. Yeah.
Izzy, what's your shirt?
I wore this purposely. It says Unity.
Ah, dope. Oh, yo, I wore this. Yo, shout out, DeRico. You recognize that, bro?
Grab clothing.
Yeah, man. Out here repping Halifax. Lead with love. Let's go.
I got some stuff coming soon, by the way, just an FYI.
Okay, stay tuned.
Limitless.
What's Limitless?
Limitless.
Have you told anyone, or is that another?
Nah, it's his first time.
Yo, let's go. So we got one unread spoken word, and then
exclusive. And
then the drop, yo. We're gonna have to drop this episode soon before it's at a date. All right, y'all. Well, thanks for tuning in. Remember, that's just our perspective on mentoring. What's yours? See you next week. Hey, there, I got it that time. All right.
Oh, all right.
Yo, that was lit. That was
really good.
Thanks for taking the time.
I'm just like not sure if I'm supposed to drop off the call. Like you're still recording.
We're not paying you. I told you that, right? So.
Shut up. Yeah, this was dope. I really appreciated the conversation though with all three of y'all. Dylan, I know you're itching to get back to your dog.